I'm Manpreet Singh with TalkLocal, born and raised in the Washington, D.C. area. Went to school in Maryland and Wharton for business school. I run TalkLocal, which helps you find a local pro, plumber, painter, or dentist in 90 seconds. My brother, originally the founder of this business, he came up with the idea of TalkLocal from his previous business called Geeks On Site, which did IT computer repair for businesses and residential in the DC metro area. And he found that consumers were frustrated when they were looking to hire a computer professional, and he wanted to find a way for consumers to find computer professionals quickly. And he also felt the frustration as being a small business owner that it was very difficult to advertise and get users to find you. And what he found that many of these programs that do advertising for small businesses require upfront fees, monthly minimums, annual commitments, and he wanted a simple business model. So we introduced the pay per conversation model. So small businesses only pay when they have a conversation with the consumer who's actually looking for their services. What we do is we look at a lot of data that we can gather off the internet to find out if the business is reputable and verified and vetted. We look at data from review sites like Yelp, CitySearch, Google, and Yahoo. We mathematically take in that data and rank the businesses, similar to how you would do on your own, but we can do it a lot faster. We also take in data from social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google Plus to see how many likes they have, how many followers they have any of your friends ever interacted with this particular company, because you might care about that. We also take a look at location to see how far a business might be available from you. And then we also started analyzing the data that we have from our historical requests to figure out which companies do consumers tend to book with more often and which companies provide the lowest price. And we're factoring all that into our algorithm. We've done requests in about 9,000 zip codes nationwide. That represents about 25% of America in terms of zip codes. It covers essentially the entire country, including pockets of Wyoming, Missouri, Iowa. A lot of our visitors do come from DC, Philadelphia, Austin, and parts of California though. We've sent out almost 1.3 million calls since we launched the business. We have had more than 40,000 businesses actually interact with our product. So either press 5 or 9 to have a conversation. It's taking about 3 minutes on average for a consumer to get their first call back from a business. Obviously a lot faster in DC, a little bit slower in Iowa or Missouri. Top categories for us today are heating, cooling, roofing, windows. Dentists and attorneys are also some categories that are pretty big for us. We would love to be powering 20% of the consumer searches for broken toilets, broken faucets, broken air conditioners, and we would love to have adoption by hundreds of thousands of businesses looking and providing them with leads of consumers who need help. Building a local brand is extremely difficult and it costs a lot of money to do it. We realized that after spending some money marketing, that building a consumer brand is very difficult, and so we started actually working with partners to distribute our product. We did a seed round of funding initially about 3 years ago. We used that money mostly to build our product, spend a little bit of the money on marketing and distribution. Once we were able to figure out some of the core metrics we cared about, how much it costs to acquire a user, how often does a user come back, how much does it cost us to get a business registered, we decided it was time to go and raise a second round of funding. We did that last year. We ended up starting the process towards the middle of the last year, and we ended up closing an A round of funding towards the end of the year. The round was mostly led by a group of funds, very geographically spread out. Private Share Capital out of Austin, Crystal Tech Fund in Washington, D.C., K Street Capital, Fortify Ventures locally, Launch Angels out of Boston, and some of the guys out of Passport Capital in San Francisco. We also had a number of angel investors who were public company executives in the past. Building a consumer brand is definitely not easy. So that's one of the challenges I think any consumer internet startup faces. Figuring out more and more ways to get more consumers to know who you are at a reasonable cost. The second biggest challenge I say driving today is just growing. We're growing. We're hiring a lot of people. The team went from 6 to 20 like in the last 12 months. We have a new office, 2 new offices. So there's definitely a lot going on. today we're not just a consumer brand by using our mobile app or using our website, but we're also becoming a technology provider to a lot of destination sites or content sites or listing sites where you might go and look for a plumber or painter.